Okay, y'all. Hey, y'all. This is Philippe, the Learn to Grow guy. Guess what? I'm actually back from Florida. Okay, I'm back from Florida, and I'm going to show you what I've got here pertaining to the seaweed. This is the seaweed I've collected. Okay, and it's not the best stuff because there's a lot of garbage that's in there. I think this is biomatter. Yeah, this is biomatter. It can stay. Seashells, which is a good thing. Okay, uh, cigarettes. Guys, if you go into any beach, please don't litter. If you did some smoking or whatever, take that garbage with you. Take whatever trash you have. There's a saying in the camping world that whatever you bring in, you got to carry it back out. Or whatever condition you find nature in, leave it in a better situation or the same situation as you found it in. Okay? So the littering stuff, yeah, this is plastic. Plenty of microplastics everywhere in the world. What is this? Oh, it looks like a piece of seashell. Yeah, coral or something. So anyway, I'm going to try to clean this mess out. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but this is just ridiculous. You should not be finding stuff like this in seaweed or anything on the shores. But give me a chance to clean this out. I'll get back. Okay, this is what I found so far. Okay. Um, This stuff here contains some biomatter, which is perfectly fine. Some stuff from birds, bird feathers. That's perfectly fine. Anything you find from other plants and stuff like that's perfectly fine to find in here. The bits of seashells, that's okay too. Okay, plant matter. Again, all this stuff is okay. The only thing I had problems with is these things here. Okay, these are the things that I found in here. And that's why I said earlier, guys, if you're smoking on a beach, whatever, got a piece of plastic, sandwich bags, whatever, take that stuff out and toss that stuff out, okay? Because in actuality, birds and other animals, they're going to eat the stuff. They're going to find the stuff, they're going to eat the stuff. And all you're doing is just contributing more microplastics into our environment as to where, and by the way, if you guys are not aware, it is often said that within each one of us, we have enough microplastics in our brain, okay, not in our whole bodies, but in our brain that can actually be used to make a small fork like the forks you get at the fast food restaurants, okay? So let's not try to contribute anything more out of there. Okay, so anyway, I mentioned to you that there's a lot you can do with these, okay? And one of them being as to where you can shred some up and you can actually use it as mulch, okay? I'm going to try to demonstrate some of that to you, okay? Hang on. Okay, the key thing is to try to break the stuff up into smaller pieces, okay? Remember, the smaller pieces you can break it up into, the better off you are. Now, keep in mind that the type of seaweed I was looking for initially was the stuff that was broad leaf, okay? Because those, to me, that I just think that they're a whole lot better material to use, and I think they may have more biomatter in them, considering that they were thick green leaves. I'm not saying that this is not good because I think there's a lot packed in this type of seaweed too, for the simple reason that the stuff is really close together, and that means that you got more surface area on these. Okay, but anytime you shred anything, you're gonna end up with more surface area. All right, and basically all I'm doing here is just spreading the stuff out. I'm trying to shred some, okay? So again, as a mulch, I'm only going to do a small portion of one of the beds because, well, I don't have too much of this. I'm trying to stretch it, okay? So I've already gone through this pile and it's basically clean to, on the most part. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry this bit here onto one of the beds and I'm just going to spread some, okay? That includes the seashells. If you want to break the seashells, you can do that too. And to me, all that means is that you got more minerals, more, more minerals and stuff that you're working with. Yeah, another piece of plastic. So let me see, seaweed. Oh, there may also be some sand. There's sand in here as well. Sand, again, more minerals. Okay, it's just more minerals that you're having added to your soil. As this stuff breaks down, the bio life forms or microorganisms, odds are they'll break the stuff down so that you can do with it as you please. All right. Now remember, I believe I mentioned 3 or 4 different ways on that video pertaining to seaweed. as to how you can use these, okay? Mulching is just one aspect, okay? Mulching is just one aspect. Okay, now here's what we've got. Over here, I don't know if you remember or not, what I did was that I started using some of the leaves from last year. I had some down at the other end on this bed, and I decided to try to use some of that stuff here. And I think some of this stuff also came from way down the road down there where I had that long stretch bed of leaves from last year. Okay, this is the seaweed. Okay, what I'm basically doing is I'm just thinning the stuff out and just spreading it over the garden bed, okay? That's basically all you're going to be doing with the stuff. Again, if you have the larger leaf, broadleaf stuff, just break it up and spread it out the best you can. Oops, I missed a piece of plastic. Yeah. So basically all you're doing is just spreading the stuff out and basically let nature take its course. Over the winter time, this stuff will break down with the rains and everything that we get. It will continue to break down. And that's the basic concept of it, is just taking the stuff and spreading it out. Now, if I was able to run this through some sort of mulcher or something to break this down even further, it wouldn't be so tangled up here like, you know, I don't want to say, but like Afro, like tangled up Afro from the 70s. It wouldn't be so tangled up, but the bottom line is that if you're able to run it through something, it'll make it much finer as to where it's easier to distribute and you can spread it out even further over your garden. Now let's take a look at the second way of using seaweed. For those of you that are aware, who's been keeping up with me, you'll know that I dug this up sometimes way earlier on in the year in the hopes of making biochar out of this. This year we've had such a rainy season as to where this son of a gun, this pit that I made for biochar, and as you can see, I've had wood laid up all around waiting to get the stuff started. But again, this pit never dried up because of the rainy season we had this year. So incorporating seaweed into your biochar is something that you want to use. However, you're probably going to want to let it compost before incorporating it into your biochar. So another thing that we can do with the seaweed is actually to include that in your compost. And basically what we're going to be doing is taking some of the same seaweed stuff that you see me working with and incorporate that into whatever methodologies of composting that you've got going. Okay, now I gotta tell you, this is not the best way to compost. Okay, this is basically a pile of grasses, weeds that I've pulled out of my garden over here. You see the brown stuff? I mean the dark brown stuff further out there. That's the stuff where I pull the weeds from, okay? So all the stuff came from here, and food scraps and stuff that I've been putting in here. Does this stuff break down? Yes, it does, but I don't have any cow manure or anything to that nature that can actually help build anything too fast, as well help break everything down faster. But the whole point I'm trying to make with this particular session over here is to let you know that this is something that you can actually incorporate into your composting when you're making compost, is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? Because the seaweed, remember, the seaweed does contain a lot of the micronutrients that we don't have in a lot of our soils around here. It's not just here, it's probably at your place too. You probably don't have as many micronutrients as you can actually have, that you're supposed to have in the soil, okay? As to where seaweed can actually help with that, okay? Now keep in mind that there is kelp that you can buy, sea kelp, stuff from the oceans that you can buy to do this instead of going all the way to the beach. But my viewpoint, you get a chance to go to the beach, enjoy. Now, another bit you can do with seaweed, okay, is that you can incorporate it into your weed tea, okay? Weed tea is as basically your seaweed's going to break down in the weed tea. What's going to happen is that, give me a second. What's going to happen is what's going to happen is that as the seaweed breaks down, all it's going to do is that it's going to release all the minerals, all of the micronutrients that it has into your compost tea, your weed tea. Okay, this is not compost tea, this is weed tea. It's going to distribute all, deposit, it's going to release all that stuff into your weed tea, and then all the stuff's going to get into what you're trying to take care of. Hold on. All you're going to do is contribute it, okay? This is an old weed tea I've had going for a couple of months now at this point. And the key thing you got to do with this stuff is you got to make sure that you flip the stuff. Hold on, let's see. Yeah. If I had a sense of smell, I would tell you that it smells like all sorts of messed up stuff, okay? This stuff is typically some real good stuff. I'm giving it a chance to, I don't have a sense of smell, but I'm thinking I'm smelling something. Okay? As you can see, the weeds, they're all breaking down. They're not like they used to be. If you could smell this, I'm sure you said that it smells real bad. Yep, this is a piece of potato that I catch from the garden that voles and such got too. So I dumped it in here as well. Okay? So this is my weed tea I'm brewing. And I know that the growing season's over, but I'm hoping there's enough stuff in here so where it won't freeze over the winter and compromise my container here. Okay? All right. So that's basically what I got to share with you pertaining to seaweed. Remember, you can use it as a mulch, right? Use it as a mulch. Second thing, you can use it in weed tea, just like you would any other weed, right? Another one is that you can use it in composting, right? And the fourth thing you can do with it is that once you compost it, you can incorporate that into your biochar so that you inoculate your biochar so that it slowly releases, so that it's able to absorb all of those micronutrients and do what it needs to do for your garden. Okay. Remember, the more micronutrients you have in your garden, the more the more nutrients your plant has to them, the healthier they'll become. The more pest resistant they'll become, etc. Okay. There's nothing more than benefits that come out of incorporating seaweed into your gardens. Okay. Again, there are stuff you can buy from the stores, but again, my view, if you get a chance to take a trip to go out of town to the beach, man, please take that trip and bring what you can back if you can. Y'all take care. And if I'm doing anything wrong, if I'm doing anything right, please leave a comment and let me know what's going on and what you think about what I'm doing. Okay? Thank you.